Cool. So here we are with professional skateboarder and part-time jiu-jitsu competitor Shane Curtis. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, mate. A bit hot today, but apart from that, I'm okay. What about you?
Yeah, decent, mate. How is Tony Hawk today? What's going on with you? I see you doing some
But
sick
I didn't fall
tricks.
off my skateboard today, so that's a start.
There we are. It's progress, isn't it? So, in the order of your life, then, where does skateboarding fall into, the jiu-jitsu hierarchy? Then is that like at the top? Then is jiu-jitsu like a part-time thing, or where's the balance?
At the moment, it's something to do when I'm bored. That's about it, really. I mean, it's fun, but I keep hitting myself in the shin with my skateboard,
Oh, it's the
and
worst.
it makes it easy for people to ankle lock me. So, it's probably not a good idea.
I thought it'd be conditioned if nothing else. You know the little scooters you used to get, you start trying to spin around, they probably like chop your ankles as well. It's one of them ones.
Maybe eventually.
This is where until you go to MMA later on, your shin's just purely conditioned like from the ankle
Everyone will think I'm a Muay Thai champ or something. No,
on one
just a
side.
failed skateboarder.
So that is an interesting question as well. So MMA, I've seen a few post MMA sparring pictures and stuff. What's going on with you in that regard then? Is that something you're trying to get into? Is that like a bit of fun? What's that?
Well, you know what? I was actually supposed to have a fight in April. Like I had an opponent and everything on. I can't remember the promotion now actually. But I was supposed to fight in April, and COVID obviously cancelled that out. So it is something I definitely want to do. With Polaris coming up, I don't really think that it's going to be on the radar anytime soon. But well, I guess we'll just have to find out, see what happens. Eventually, I will. That's the goal, to have at least one.
How did your training sort of changing? Because obviously you're having quite a sport heavy sort of style of sort of flying arm bars and this, that, and the other, to then, route one, sort of punching, taking down in the top position, positional ball and stuff. Old man jiu-jitsu from, new age jits.
You know what? Despite all my competition footage, my wrestling actually isn't that bad.
I didn't say it
So,
was bad. I'm not gonna.
well, a lot of people think it is.
You said it, not me.
It's just something I don't use in competition, because if I'm honest, I'm just scared I'm gonna get guillotined. At least if I try and throw a punch at someone's head, they're thinking about that more than they are trying to catch my neck. So there's not that much of a difference. And I was kind of getting used to getting punched in the face while I trying to attack people's legs as well. So there could have been a knee bar or toe hold or something in that debut.
Some sort of Wonder Kid kind of thing, like Dylan Dennis-esque sort of jump guard and then like get some
Exactly.
sort of toe hold or whatever. Now, with
Get
that,
punched in the
then
face a little bit.
how did you find the transition? So, what point were you like, you know what? Let's take the gi off and let's get punched in the face a bit, or was it like a gradual kind of?
Um, right from the beginning, to be honest, before I even started jiu-jitsu, I wanted to be an MMA fighter. I was a big fanboy of Conor McGregor, as you'd expect. And
Not me.
and I always wanted to have a fight. After I had my operation on my knee, I thought I'd come back and I'd just start with jiu-jitsu. And this was only 6 months into jiu-jitsu that I actually had ACL surgery. So I thought, right, I'm going to come back. I'm just going to do jiu-jitsu for a bit, just to kind of warm myself up to it. And I just never stopped doing jiu-jitsu. But it was always in the back of my head that I wanted to fight. And every time I watched one of the lads from the gym fight, like Dean Truman or Carl Booth, I'd get really hyped up to fight. And I'd train MMA for about 2 weeks and then get bored of it. But this was the only time I've actually kind of stuck with it. And then bloody Corona happens, doesn't it? So it wasn't my fault.
Now that's an interesting sort of situation. And so you start as jiu-jitsu being the side bitch to try and top up your MMA and get keep you busy. How did you find taking jiu-jitsu competition seriously at that point? Because again, it's meant to be like this is like a do for now instead of like this is my full time, this is what I want to do sort of attitude. So,
Well, like when I was a white belt and a blue belt, I wasn't. I don't know. I just didn't. I just wanted to train, and I thought I'd just give a few competitions a go. And then at white belt, I never really did anything spectacular. And then at blue belt, I kind of started winning things. And I think at that point, when I realised I was actually not too bad at it, that's kind of when the MMA took a bit of a back seat.
So when it comes to your competitions then, what do you think changed at blue belt then? Was it your mentality? Was it just general ability? Was it something that clicked? How did you find that sort of transition?
I think it was more just the fact that I found that I was actually all right at it. Like, I never went into jiu-jitsu thinking, right, I'm going to be the best. I'm going to be this, that, and the other. I just started training because I wanted to fight MMA.
Now that kind of didn't really answer as such, because again, you were competing anyway at like white, and you're sort of like, just going there happy to make up the numbers. But then what? So did your mentality change when you were in there? Was it something you started? You said
Um,
you realised you were right trying to be more modest and stuff, but let's just put that to one side. So regard to your performance, matter of fact, no opinion, you're getting results instead of not getting results. So you point
um,
getting results. What
I
sort
don't,
of changed in your approach to it all?
I don't really know, to be honest. It just kind of happened naturally. It kind of jiu-jitsu just became a bigger part of my life. Right, and then ever since then, MMA always took the backseat. After that, it was just more so the fact that I was just doing so much jiu-jitsu. I think, not to mention, I do wear contact lenses as well, so getting punched in the face isn't always a. That's kind of always in the back of my mind as well. So that
Now,
doesn't help.
that is another question then in itself. So training with glasses. So for all the Specky Jits, talk to me. How's that start off? How do you get used to sort of basically being blind? How blind are you without glasses?
I am blind as fuck. Like, I probably see it back there. That's probably as far as I
About
can
a
see
foot
without
for anyone listening on
glasses.
audio.
Like, I'm very very short sighted.
You just go
But
flying triangles wrong direction. Sort of jumping off the
pretty
mat.
much. But I've been lucky, you know. I've wore contact lenses since I played rugby when I was like 14 or 15, and I've never had an issue with them. So I just wear them. I think I've never had a contact lens fall out in a competition.
Yeah,
Um,
touch wood.
I've had a contact lens fall out 2 or 3 times, maybe in just over 4 years of training, which isn't too bad. Um, so I just make do with it. I mean, getting punched in the face hasn't not yet knocked one out. Actually, I'm quite surprised at that. It's more just having someone's shoulder in your face, especially my coach, who's like 100 kg anyway. So it's generally him that knocks one out.
That's nice of him. When it comes to knocking one out, so to speak, have you seen what is he, Meerkatsu? The one who has like the sports goggles.
Yeah, yeah.
You need
I
to get a
could
pair of
not
those. You
deal
need a
with that.
pair. You need a pair of goggles. That's where we need to sort of make to get you branded.
I just don't think I could. I can't imagine how uncomfortable that'd be. It's bad enough wearing swimming goggles when you go swimming, let alone rolling. Like, damn.
Like you get all the sort of branded tape and stuff. You get like brand like scramble kind of like goggles and stuff.
Get
Just go-
sponsored.
That's it. Get the plug. Uh, get the bag. So when it comes to your training and sort of stepping up in competition, how did you find getting more out of your training as such? Like, what did you feel changed when you started competing more seriously? Was it frequency of rounds? Was it specific training? Was it things you're doing outside of the gym? How did you really find, I don't know, progressing as such?
You'd be quite surprised, to be honest. My training has not really changed. I think I think the only thing that I'd say has changed is the fact that I now try and train with people outside of my gym as well. Just because then I can kind of simulate a competition round more than you can in the gym. Not necessarily because you don't like the person you're training with, just because you don't know their game. If you're not training with them as often, then you don't know what to expect. So, and no one likes getting tapped in their own gym by someone else. So, I think that's kind of helps me a lot, and because I do a lot of training with other guys at other gyms.
Now, when it comes to that sort of situation, then I don't know, do you still try new things or do you treat it as this is okay, this is essentially my comp, but like, a free go at think, okay, I'm going to, pretend it's the same thing, start from standing and then play my game? Or do you try and, I don't know.
I will try new things, definitely. I think if it's someone I've never rolled with before, I'll obviously feel them out. Try my A game will be the first thing I do, just to with the first roll, just to find out how good they are, I guess. And then after that, I mean, getting tapped in training, it's part of it, isn't it? Yeah, how else are you going to learn if you don't try new things in training?
Now, when it comes to that, then how do you find developing when you're in well, say a fight camp for like a competition prep? And that's sort of okay. So say you've got a match, say a grapple fest or whatever. Think, okay, I've got X amount of time to prepare for this. I'm going to practice my A game for that. And then what? In that time, are you trying other stuff within that build-up time? Or are you just doing your pure, this is what I'm going to use
Um,
in a match?
I tend to try a lot of new things in training. More so when it's more so leading up to comp, because I know a lot of people have watched footage of me, so they know what to expect generally. So I've got to try and open up my game a little bit more, so I don't just do the same thing. Because like throughout blue belt and then hot and then like the beginning of purple belt, it took me a long time to get out of the same thing, and eventually the same thing didn't work. So I really need to change things up. So I like trying to do new things in training and then trying that in competition as well.
So when you said about trying new things, is that something your coach has like proactively helped you with, or is it something you've gone out your way to try and, I don't know, say if you always use a certain guard, you try and stand up and take down, do you try and use something specific variations? Like, what do you mean by how extreme is something different, if you see what I mean?
Um, well, for a long time, I had absolutely no top game and no wrestling. I used to play close guard or Z guard. That was it. And when I hit purple belt, that's when I kind of started trying to play top more and trying to wrestle a little bit more, um, or or try and say veer away from Z guard so much, because even through the first say 6-9 months of purple belt, I ended up playing Z guard so much. It was working. It was doing its job. But then I had a couple of matches, one after another, which I could see that it was difficult to pass. Like it's really hard to pass. But then I wasn't opening up from that, and I knew I needed to change it up. So that's when I started kind of understanding that it wasn't working. Like I had one match one weekend where I was playing Z guard and trying to do the same thing over and over again and getting nowhere with it. And then I had another match which was quite similar, and this was with Ben Hills, and that's what really made me kind of look back and go, right, I need to add more to my game now, because I know I do have other aspects to my game. It's just that sometimes when something's been working for so long, there's no point in trying to change it. But I've realized that you need to have more assets to your game than just one thing. Even if that one thing's working, you need to change it up in case you end up getting somewhere and it's not working, just as I did with a couple of those matches.
I mean, that is a really interesting sort of point, this sort of double-edged sword of trying to specialize, but also not being one-dimensional. And also, shout out Ben Hills. His podcast with me is available on, Spotify, iTunes, and other streaming platforms. Shameless little plug there, stick that in there. Um, but yeah, it's really tricky because if you develop a certain sort of guard game, what happens when they pull guard? It's like, oh shit. No, you stand. No,
Exactly.
stand back up a second. Let me get my. Okay, now what?
Let me. I want to do that.
Like, oi.
Yeah,
So I get it.
exactly.
And then in that sense, still, you get people who develop this one-dimensional style. I say one-dimensional in a sense if that's what they specialize, that's what they're known for. Yes, they've got base and stuff, that's a little disclaimer. But say they're sort of known for that position, so much so they find all the problem solving around it. And then you think, if I invest that much time in that, would I then have that same kind of level of understanding? But then the holes appear. And then it's that whole back and forth of how do you then make the most out of your time and what do you work on? And it's this whole back and forth. How do you find, I don't know, getting time to work on those positions? Do you do a lot of specific things intentionally? Do you put yourself in these situations?
Yeah, I think more recently as well, I've been trying to force myself to play things that I wouldn't normally play. And then if I'm, for instance, finding that one thing's not working on someone, I'll change it. Like training's the perfect time to do that, especially when you train with other high level guys. Like my coach Paul Lukovsky, for instance, he's been on Grapple Fest, got 2 wins on Grapple Fest over 2 really high level guys, and his style is actually quite similar now. And he knows how to pass my guard. Like not many people know how to, but he knows how to pass it. And then I'll then figure out how to stop that pass that he's somehow figured out. And I think from there, we kind of help each other. If that makes sense.
Definitely. Do you feel you're developing your own style? Do you feel like you're copying him? Like where are you getting your influences from for your style? Is that a lot of instructionals? Is it directly from training? Where do you find
I'd love
building
to
your
say I
style?
watched a lot of instructionals, but I've got so many on my computer. I've not even watched one. I think I put a Gary Tonin one on for about 1 minute and 30 seconds. It's been paused on my laptop ever since. I'd like to say the instructionals help me, but they don't. I think for me personally, live sparring and positional sparring is what helps me the most. But when it comes to my own style, our gym, I guess, is quite a guard-heavy gym. We do also have a really high wrestling coach, Charles Labor, as well. He's got a really good MMA background. He actually tapped Eddie Bravo once, which is a pretty good claim to fame.
Just job.
And so we do have a good variety. As it's an MMA gym, we've got a good wrestling anyway. I think I was stuck for a long time playing just guard, like I said, and that was I don't even know why. It just kind of happened.
Wrestling's
I
hard.
just ended up. I've got quite strong legs, and I've got quite a good dexterity in my hips. Funnily enough, not that flexible, but I might have somehow got some strange jujitsu flexibility in my hips, which kind of helps. And it was only when I started playing top that I realized I needed to actually play top, because half the time I'd give up the sweep, I'd just get submitted. It's all in training. So I tried to follow suit from there, and I think it's just an accident that me and Paul have quite a similar style, apart from him being 25 kilos heavier than me. I think it just happened just because we trained together so much. It just seems to stick.
I guess it's kind of natural as well, like whether you're surrounded by, you sort of get influenced by. And when it comes to that mindset, so talk me through your competition mindset versus your training mindset. Are you quite psyched up? Are you getting a sort of mindset with that, or is it like another day in the gym essentially?
It's just another day in the gym, really, because like before lockdown, because I competed at least once or twice a month, sometimes more, my training never changed, because I was always training for the same thing. Like with some people, I guess they train more leading up to competitions, but I really didn't have that opportunity to train more, because I trained pretty much as I could anyway. And then I think the only other thing I could say I've added in to help me with my competition prep is like strength and performance through Brotherhood. That's Andrew Hardwick, for anyone who doesn't know. Another little hint there to go and check him out.
Plug.
But yeah, I think that's the only thing that's really changed for competition is my strength training. Apart from that, everything sits the same, really.
Is that meant more on the actual day itself, when you actually go to step on the mats to compete, like the day itself? So do you get yourself in a certain mindset for that, or do you treat it like it's normal sparring? How do you find that difference in environment?
Well, initially when I first started competing, for a long time it took me a while to go to the nerves. I'd be thinking of reasons to pull out, excuses. Oh, let's pretend I forgot my contact lenses. Never once have I pulled out because of this, but in my own head, I'll be quite nervous and worried, but that's until I got on the mat. Like as soon as I step on the mat, I was like, oh yeah, it's jiu-jitsu. I forgot I can do this. I think just because I've competed so much, it just makes it a lot easier now. And I just go into it with a lot less nerves. Sometimes I think sometimes I do make the mistake of going into it slightly too blasé, just like, I'm just going to go in and win. Like, I think sometimes I do become a bit of I do that. I mean, I like to be confident, but sometimes their overconfidence doesn't help, and that's where I end up causing me problems. Which, for instance, my last match on Grapple Fest, I went in thinking that it was going to be a bit easier than it was, and then ended up losing out on a close decision there. After 10 minutes, which was disappointing. I thought I may have had it, but that's by the by. I didn't sub him, so it's my own fault. So I think I do need to be a little bit more focused on the match in hand sometimes. which is something that I'm working towards at the moment.
Now, it's interesting the way you were sort of describing that in the sense of, I don't know, you're too blasé, you're kind of not got the urgency. I think it's almost synonymous with playing on the bottom as such, is that, okay, you sit down, you're like, oh, come here, whenever you're ready, I'm comfy,
Yeah,
whenever you're
I
ready,
think
kind of.
so. Because I'm so confident in my guard half the time, I'm thinking, right, it's not going to pass. Let's see what I can do. That's generally what goes through my mind. Especially when I end up training with quite high level guys like Lloyd Cooper, Sean Madonna, Ollie Bates. Like these are all really high level guys. So when I can pull things off on them, it makes me think, well, if I can do all right with them, then this brown belt or this other guy ain't gonna give me too much trouble. Which I think that is a bit of a detriment to me as well sometimes. But that's something that I'm trying to work on at the moment.
Well, that was something else I was try and get into a little bit as well, was the fact being a purple belt, competing
I like
against,
it.
brown, black belts and, smashing them. And then you sort of like, having that same kind of genuine like lack of ego and humility, because everyone says there's no ego in jiu-jitsu. There's a little bit, just a
I
little bit.
mean,
When you
yeah,
compete,
there
there's
is.
a little bit. So how do you
Just a little
find,
bit.
retaining that kind of level-headedness of, okay, I am just a purple belt, and this guy is also a purple belt. I'm doing a little finger quotation for anyone listening, because when you're smashing black belts in sub-only comps, I think purple belt, but that's a different conversation. Anyway, and that kind of, okay, yes, I've been a black belt, but this guy's only a purple belt. But then you sort of think, well, if I'm a purple belt smashing black belts, this guy's a purple belt. He might smash black belts as well. How do you find giving that person the same kind of respect if they're not, I don't know. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I do. I understand what you're getting at. I think it just depends on the person who, in particular. Like for instance, Jed Hugh. Like I've fought Jed 4 times now, and he's beaten me every fucking time.
Shout out, Jed.
And I just get in my own head about him. Really, yeah. I end up just getting subbed pretty quickly now, actually.
Hey, Jed.
But I think that's more of a mindset thing than it is anything else. Um, but yeah, back to the question. I think it's more of a case of who it is. Like generally in jiu-jitsu, especially now, you can find out who your opponent is. You know who they've beaten and how good they are before you step on the mat. Generally, I mean, they could surprise you, but you generally have a good idea of what to expect, like regardless of the belt. I think, to be honest, the higher the belt, the less pressure I get put on my shoulders. Because if I'm going against a black belt, everyone's expecting me to lose anyway.
Now, this is an interesting sort of point I want to sort of take this with then. So again, you've got this kind of the initial relaxed, blasé attitude. You walk on, you've got nothing to lose. You walk in, nothing but that. And then you sort of, again, what's the build up like? Because again, that's on the day and that's the sort of overall expectation. How do you find, again, having developed this reputation for, okay, I'm then beating these high level guys, performing above my belt ranking, I'm performing better than I have done, and I can't get the words, that trajectory is upwards. So people are thinking, okay, he's definitely going to smash this. Like if it's any longer than a minute, he's wasting his time and all this, that, and the other. How
Yeah.
do you find living up to the standard you're setting yourself? I don't know, how do you find the pressure of that in itself?
Do you know what? Half the time, I don't think I perform as well as I should. I think like you can ask a lot of some of my training partners. Like I do have a bit of a performance anxiety. I do get that's one thing I'm trying to get out of, getting stuck in the same game. Like even though I've said I've tried to move away from playing just their guard or just guard full stop, there are a lot of other elements to my own game that I don't do. So I think people expect good things from me, but they've not actually seen how good I can be. Like in the gym, in comparison, like I think it's just something that I need to try and take a step up with. So it doesn't really bother me people expecting me to win because I know I can win regardless of who it is. It's just my performance on the day. So it's more in my own head than it is what anyone else has to say. So I know how good I am, and I know my training partners know how good I am. So it doesn't bother me if people are expecting big things or not.
Now, I'm going to ask a question I kind of ripped off from Ash Williams from my podcast with him the other day, so shameless plug again. Do you feel you want to win when you're there, or do you feel you're afraid to lose when you get on the mat?
I definitely want to win. Yeah. That's a good question, actually, to be honest. I like that. Yeah, I definitely want to win. I can't say that I've really ever gone into a comp, apart from the match versus Ben Hills, worried about losing. I think because, funny enough, David Leatherby, who runs Role Models, said to me before, after the match, after we went to a draw, that people were saying that Ben was going to be too good for me, that it was a step in the wrong direction for me, essentially, that that match shouldn't have been made. And if you watch the match, you can tell that it's not that. It's a completely different story to what people thought. So I think after that match, it kind of did help my mindset. Not only did it help me change my game, it also helped me build a little bit more confidence in myself.
Now, with that, a lot of the way you've answered this is based around how you've been perceived to perform and how you're expected to perform. And also, even when I asked this, I was saying about your trajectory built up by your reputation, your career. How do you feel in yourself versus your reputation? In the sense of, do you feel that you're being acknowledged for your efforts, or do you feel I don't know, how do you feel the correlation between how you're perceived versus how you are?
I think it matches, because I've got some decent wins, but there are a lot of people out there who have probably got some bigger wins than me as well. It's just lucky that people do know what I'm capable of, which I think has helped me get onto some of the bigger shows. I've won a lot of like smaller comps and stuff, and I've got wins on almost every sub-only comp in the UK. So I think that does pretty much match what I think of myself. I just know that my own performance on these shows is my own fault if it's not good enough. So I think compared with where I'm at the moment and what people think of me, it makes sense.
Is it important what people think of you, to you?
Not really, not anymore. Like I know that what I'm capable of doing. So it doesn't really bother me what people think, especially because now I can go onto these bigger shows and just put on a performance, and people will then acknowledge me from that rather than what their opinions are. And
I
you
mean,
can't deny if someone's good at jiu-jitsu, because you can either roll with them or watch them, and then you'll know.
collecting dubs and subs. Sorry, I had to get that in there. But that's this interesting sort of thing, though, especially in the sort of modern age of like social media and the way you've got to sell yourself, so to speak, to try and build your brand, to build who you are, to get these opportunities. And obviously, my prime example is you can get the best fighters in the world, but if they can't sell tickets, they'll be in the prelims. And it's just
That's
one of
true.
those. It's one of those ones, that fine line between getting yourself out there and also not. I don't know, getting yourself in the wrong headspace of trying to do it for the wrong reasons. And when it
Yeah.
comes to your damage report, so post-match kind of, okay, win, lose, or whatever. Sorry, win, learn, because, jiu-jitsu words. Um, how do you find that? So say you've won or lost a match. What is your process from there onwards? Actually, we'll start that question with what's your food afterwards. That's the priority. I want to know that. Talk to me.
Generally pizza.
What's your pizza
Pizza
guy?
and
Talk
pizza
to
and
me.
chocolate.
Talk to me. What's your pizza?
I don't really know, actually. Just it depends what I'm in the mood for.
Hard-hitting questions on
Like
Fisticuffs.
now I'm vegetarian, it would be a bit different to what it would have been then. But normally, before even all of that, I've got a load of sweets and chocolate ready for after the match, and some Lucozade.
Very specific. Now, for the vegetarian homies listening, vegetarian pizza is probably the best ones ever. I love it. Jackfruit is banging. Vegan as well. You're welcome. The sweets is tricky because of like the gelatin and stuff, but Percy pigs are always a safe one because gelatin free.
Yeah, do you know, it's quite easy when you know what you're looking for.
Thank me later, it's all right. So sweets. Talk to me about sweets. Which ones are you going for?
I mean, again, that has changed, because you'd be surprised how much like how much chocolate isn't vegetarian
Yeah, with the
and
milk.
sweets.
Shit.
Like the milk's okay for a vegetarian. I do try to eat more vegan sometimes than vegetarian. I tend to be a vegan, but I eat eggs at the moment, and so I try to steer away from. I don't drink milk full stop, and I don't eat cheese. But if milk is in something, I can let myself go because I know I'm a vegetarian, not strict vegan.
A life without cheese.
But my favourite chocolate, you were at crispy M&Ms, but it doesn't state whether they're vegetarian or not. And I don't think they are because they've got some weird like E number and it's got beeswax in or something, which is quite frustrating.
Mind your own
But
business.
never mind.
There's a
But
lot of things in there. I mean, wow.
yeah,
Life without cheese. I mean, that's how it takes to get to the top. I guess so. I'm not sure if I want to take that turn.
surprised actually. It's been the easiest transition I've ever made.
I'll take
I
your word on
haven't
that
once
one.
craved any of it, and I'm surprised. I never thought I'd do it. Like growing up, up until the day that I decided like that I was going to do it, I don't think I'd ever gone I don't think I'd ever gone a day without eating meat.
What was the biggest sort of change for you changing your diet like that?
It was a couple of things. I mean, I'd looked into it before, and I know there's a lot of antibiotics and like steroids and all these different hormones that are pumped into meat, which isn't great for you. And I do love animals, and it is something that I wanted to try. And then my girlfriend is vegan,
There we are.
and kind of just out of respect, I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna eat vegan when I'm around her from the date from like our very first date, to be honest. And I just did, and I stuck with it. And then I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna go vegetarian and just
Where was your
see
first date?
what happens. Where was our first date?
Yeah.
Well, our first date was we just went for some drinks. So, but we went
That's a
for sushi on our second date at Yo Sushi, and they do like a vegan Wednesday where everything's cheaper, so you can eat more, and it's pretty much it's pretty decent.
How did you explain jiu-jitsu to her to try and sound cool and not like you're sitting on your butt like a dog trying to wipe
I
his
mean,
ass?
she still thinks I'm a pussy, so it's fine.
Well, there we are. As long as you didn't lie from the word go. I had this conversation with our mutual friend Jake Moody the other day about this. So what do you say to like people like when it comes to jiu-jitsu? I think you just can't make it sound cool. I felt like doing MMA because it's pretty,
Yeah,
pretty straightforward.
yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, when I met her, actually, I was supposed to be having an MMA fight, so that wasn't too bad. If I could go and yeah, I'm having an MMA fight,
Yeah.
that's good enough.
Although got cauliflower ears and hard as nails.
Exactly.
Oh, where were we? Oh yeah, so we're talking about going vegan. So regards of that side of things then, so how are you finding the maintenance of that? Because again, it's really nice in the moment of thinking, yeah, I'm motivated. Yeah, this is something I want to do. But then it comes to the habits and the day-to-day kind of stuff and obviously, life. How would you find maintaining that kind of thing, that kind of lifestyle?
um, so it's been about, I'd say it's been 3 months-ish now since I've done it. It took me a good 2, 3, 4 weeks maybe to work out where I can get my calories and my protein from. But since I've done that, it's been a stroll in the park really. Now I know what I can cook together in order to get the correct amount of calories and protein and still hit like that 140, 150 grams of protein a day. It's not been a problem. Just there's a lot of like meat alternatives which have a decent amount of protein in, and then just to up that, just add lentils and beans, kidney beans and stuff like that, and nuts and seeds. And then, not to mention, you get vegan protein, you get vegan protein bars. So I just tend to stick with generally the same things every day. It just makes it easier for me. I used to eat the same thing every day anyway before, so there's no worry about getting bored of things. So it's been quite easy actually.
I guess once you build that sort of structure around it, it gets a lot more sustainable. I guess if like in the moment of thinking, okay, I've got no vegan food in the house, let's find something. Okay, wait, shit, this has got this in, this has got this in. I suddenly got a V, it's not got a VE, fuck's sake, and you keep like looking around and stuff. And then thing is, there's so many good like vegan foods. Have you been to, what is it, vegan junk food? Oh, was it vegan junk food bar? Or I think it's in Amsterdam. There's a few of them. They're so good.
Give that a go. Yeah, me and the missus are planning on going to Amsterdam at some point, so that'd be perfect.
Yeah, it's banging. He's like black. I think it's black burgers or something like that. They're so good. It's like seitan or something in it. Anyway, moving on back to jiu-jitsu stuff. So let's move on swiftly from me waffling on about food and things that aren't jiu-jitsu related. Let's go to the original question. So post-match, you got your sweets, you got your M&M and crispy things that are a bit questionable. That's fine. We won't talk about that. You got your cheese-free pizza, which is mental, and then damage report. This was the initial question. So how do you analyze either a win or a loss as such? Do you have quite a meticulous thing of watch it back, notes by notes? Is it sort of, okay, I know what I did wrong, and then move on from there?
I guess it depends on the outcome of the match. Generally, I'll watch it back straight away. Win or lose, I'll watch it back straight away. And then I'll normally get shit, whether I've won or lost, from my friends, my training partners, especially on Grapple Fest, because there's a bar there, so people just end up getting drunk anyway. So that's always an interesting experience afterwards, seeing what they have to say about it. So I like to listen to see what they say and watch my own match back. That's it really. And then over the next few days, few weeks, I'll just rewatch them. I don't write anything down. I just kind of take note of what did and didn't work in my own head.
Now that's an interesting response to that, because the way you were saying about your diet being quite, numbers based, and making sure you're getting your calories, getting your macros, and making sure you're hitting your numbers. But when it comes to, I don't know, the training sort of details and that kind of side, do you take any kind of notes on that in itself? Do you make any sort of, I don't know, like rigid plans with things, or is it very much sort of go with the flow kind of thing?
I think some days I'll concentrate more on specifics than I will sparring, but apart from that, not really. I hate drilling. I think you need to drill things a couple of times and then try it in sparring. I mean, how else do you know something works without trying to do it on someone that's trying to stop you? That's my opinion anyway. I think I learn better doing it live than I do constantly doing the same thing over and over again with no resistance. Or just sparring on its own. Like, I mean, positional sparring or normal sparring, that's it. I just like sparring.
What about warm-ups? So if you don't like drilling, do you like warm-ups? And it's straight to sparring.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a purple belt, so what do you think my answer is to that?
There we are. I was waiting for that. So if you walk in, you do your rolling, then you go home. That's what you want. I mean, this is always an interesting conversation when it comes to drilling. And again, shout out to Ashley Williams' podcast plug there, talking about how when it comes to drilling, it's very one-dimensional. You're doing one movement based off one reaction. Whereas if we were sparring and we start from the same kneecap position or something like that, our reactions can be different almost every single time. I mean, you'll tap me in the end regardless. That's not the point. But the initial flow to get there is different sort of order, you'd hope. And again, try and drill one specific technique there. It makes sense for that one stage. But then if you keep doing that one position, the follow-up, so they're over there somewhere next time you do it. And then what?
Yeah, I mean, that makes complete sense. That's why that is the reason why I don't like normal drilling. I'll drill something just so I can get the movements, just so I know what I'm actually doing. And then after that, I look to try it in sparring. Or sometimes I won't even drill something. I'll just see a video and be like, right, I'm going to try that. And then I'll just mess up. I don't know. But that's what training's for, isn't it?
This is a lot of trial and error and stuff. When you said about Z-Guard initially, I was thinking you might be one of those sort of Craig Jones fanboys who loves all the instructionals. Like, I mean, I've got the Z-Guard, one of my things I haven't watched yet, but that's fine. Don't tell Craig. It's all right. He'll forgive me.
I've got it. Have I watched it? Nope. I don't think I've ever watched a whole instructional. Actually, tell a lie. Actually, I've watched almost the entirety of Kit Dale's Art of Jujitsu no gi one. That's the only thing I've watched. But because it's not techniques, it's more like principles. So that kind of helps. And yeah, I quite like that. But apart from that, yeah, I just don't watch them. And I think that's only because I paid for that. I haven't paid for any of my other instructionals, so I just wait until it comes free on BJJ Fanatics.
Oh god, keeping the jiu-jitsu community alive. I mean, I've got
Yeah,
I don't know, Flanagan's one. That one's quite sick. I mean, I pay for that because I care about supporting other jiu-jitsu.
obviously. I mean,
I'm
yeah,
like,
I'd buy Owens.
there we are, just in case. Little backtrack. So outside of jiu-jitsu, then, so how full on is the world of jiu-jitsu to you? Is it like you live and breathe it? You're watching videos, you're training all the time? Do you have you a lot of jiu-jitsu time, then you try and switch off? What's your usual divide from, I don't know, training to taking time off?
I mean, generally, jiu-jitsu's on my mind most of the time. But I watch a reasonable amount of jiu-jitsu and MMA. I'm still a massive MMA fan, so I watch most of the UFCs. Never live anymore. I can't do that unless it's on in the UK. No, I much prefer my sleep. So I watch them in the morning or something. I think for me, more recently, I've tried to watch less jiu-jitsu and think about jiu-jitsu a bit less outside of training, because I don't want it to distract me from anything else. Like, I still work a full-time job anyway. Even having said that, I still listen to jiu-jitsu podcasts
Like
throughout
Fisticuffs
work.
available on Spotify, iTunes, and other streaming platforms.
Precisely.
We'll take that as read. You take mine as read. That's fine.
So I've been trying recently to not focus so much on it and just kind of just relax, just chill out a little bit more rather than diving headfirst into it. I'll still watch like Fight to Win or Polaris or Grapplers, whatever's been on. I'll still watch it all. Like, I won't miss out on a good match. Like, I watch the entirety of ADCC and whatnot, but I don't sit there and just look for jiu-jitsu videos to watch anymore, unless it's something specific that's already just been on. I
just
think
flicking through like flow grappling, like frothing at the mouth.
Yeah, I really don't do that anymore. I used to, but more recently, I've just kind of moved away from that, and I think it's helped me because then I've got more to think about when I'm in training anyway, because I've stopped watching jiu-jitsu 24/7. I still watch it every day, but just not like constantly. I like to try and live my life outside of that as well.
This is where it sort of comes to the sort of next point with this. Do you feel, I don't know, like a pressure to proactively be in jiu-jitsu and be around the sort of world of it? Because initially it's like it started as a hobby as such, like a sort of an additional thing to MMA, and then it sort of becomes like, okay, if I'm going to be competing regularly, I must be training regularly, I must keep in this mindset, stay in the world of it. Like, surely you must develop some kind of like anxiety with it as well, to sort of think, okay, I must be doing this, they must be doing more than me, and trying to constantly, I don't know, keep yourself
You
in
know
that
what?
same mindset.
That has never worried me. Everything's just come natural. Like, I just love training, so I'll train as much as I can. And just because someone trains more than me doesn't necessarily mean they're better than me. Their training could be different, and everyone learns different. Like, sometimes, I don't know, you're on holiday for a week, you come back and you're better than you were the week before. It's always nice to take days off occasionally. Like, not to mention, I can't still do overtrain a little bit, so I have to force myself to take days off. So I know that I'm rested for the day after. So I don't really pay attention to what anyone else does, unless they've got a cool technique or something that looks fancy. But I'm not worried about what other people are doing, really.
I mean, that's a really healthy way to sort of approach the whole thing. Where I'm asking that from is more of a place of the transition, and then you start going from, I don't know, a hobbyist to a competitor to then, I don't know, and also when it comes to the transition to MMA then, and do you feel you'll go into it already being, I don't know, labelled as a jiu-jitsu guy and being labelled as, he's going to take you down and he's going to
Yeah,
try and choke you, or do you want to go
I mean,
and try to go against the grain a bit, being like, do you know what, I'm going to try and strike, try and be Damien Meyer?
you'd be surprised. My striking's actually all right. I've done striking on and off since I started training jiu-jitsu anyway. And we come, like I say, I train at an MMA gym, and we've got a lot of good striking coaches. And and a lot of good grappling coaches. So all round as an MMA fighter, I am quite well-rounded. So, and then and when you say transitioning from being more of a hobbyist to a competitor, the only difference, I guess, is just social media. That's the only difference. Like, I still share random shit that's got nothing to do with jiu-jitsu. So that doesn't bother me. But I guess that's the only difference there, is that I just trying to advertise more for my sponsors than I would have done had I not had any sponsors before.
Who are your sponsors? Just a little shameless plug whilst we
Well,
mentioned.
I've got Very Hard to Submit Europe, VHTS. They sponsor some real big guys in the US as well on the US side. On the US side of things, like Mateus, Denise, from ADCC Gold and whatnot. So that's a pretty cool company to be with. I've got Kev Richardson Tattoo, who is a guy that I train with. Tried about 2.5 years ago because I didn't shut up about jiu-jitsu when he was tattooing me for 8 hours. So I think I've got myself to blame for that. I've got Role Models BJJ. So as you know, Role Models is a competition. And the reason why they've sponsored me is because every competition of theirs, I did a blue belt, I got gold. And then I did a super fight and won that by sub. And then they offered to sponsor me, so I can't argue with that. I've got Safe Jaws. That's a funny story. That I went out to Ireland in October, bust my lip open because I didn't wear a gum shield. The match got called off because of it. So that ended up as a no contest. And then I contacted them and told them, and they offered to sponsor me. And then I've got Brotherhood Health and Performance, which is Andrew Hardwick, who initially I was like using his paid service, and then when I was speaking to him about MMA, he offered to sponsor me, which is nice of him. And he's a fantastic coach, stays in contact with you all the time, and any help you need, he'll give it to you. And then I've got.
There's more.
Yeah. Then I've got. This is my last one, I think. Drops of Heal recently contacted me in the last couple of months. I've been using their CBD products, and I've always been a fan of CBD, and I found that this actually helps. Like, I've never really had a CBD product that I felt makes a physical difference, which is quite nice. Whether it's a placebo or not, I don't care, because it seems to work. I think that's it. Let me check.
It's like NASCAR.
I need to make sure now I've not missed anyone out.
Shout
No, we good.
Sponsor Fight Fuel UK. You know, website, www.fightfuel.co.uk, I think, will be in the description anyway. Sort of get that in there whilst we're talking sponsors. So, tattoos. Talk to me of your tattoos. What have you got then? So, what point in your jiu-jitsu career were you this fanatical white belt? Were you competitive purple belt? What was this? Is this day one, like you start shrimping, you're like, do you know what, I'm Hoist Gracie or what?
Wait, where are we at? Tattoos or starting jiu-jitsu now?
Tattoos. So when you were preaching to Kev about your tattoos, you're like, you know what, I'm the fucking man.
What was it? I was a blue belt. You
completed it by then, yeah. You got your
Yeah, I was competing a bit, like, and it was nothing special. I just would not shut up about jiu-jitsu, and he came down, and he's been ever since, and he stuck with it. Yeah, and I've always had tattoos anyway, like since I was like 17.
What have you got?
I've had tattoos. I've got most of both of my arms. I've got a couple on my thighs. I've got my chest. I've got a horrendous tramp stamp, which we're getting covered as soon as I can. Yeah, I've got quite a lot actually.
Is there like a theme for them as such? Or are they more of like a impulse thing at the time?
My first couple of tattoos are a bit colour, which I don't particularly like anymore, so they're going to be getting covered. And the ones that I do like are all generally black and grey. And I've also my favourite one is this one. You probably can't read what it says, but you can guess. Yeah.
You are Gordon
Not
Ryan.
tiramisu.
Tiramisu.
It kind of looks like tiramisu if you don't have a clue what you're reading.
Well, maybe your eyes, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I prefer it to look like that though. So you have to kind of guess what it says rather than just
why is this fat
Arial bold jiu-jitsu, yeah.
Comic Sans.
Exactly. We don't want that.
Oh, that's incredible. Now, Shane, most important question of the podcast: where can people find you?
So on Facebook, just Shane Oliver Curtis, and on Instagram, Shane Curtis BJJ. Nice and simple.
That'll be in the description.